What? My liege, what is this? The title of the comic was Dengeki Stryker. The character on the cover looked exactly like me.
This is a manga called Dengeki Stryker, which was very popular with children about 10 years ago. Stryker is the name of the protagonist of the story.
Oh, sorry, I did that reversing your voices. Oh no.
So you're saying that this comic book has influenced the perpetrators to commit these crimes?
Yes, they are unable to fully mature, so their obsession manifests itself as a desire to recreate the world of the comic. They use explosives and other methods to recreate some of it. You see a lot of those sorts of crimes these days, don't you?
I had no idea this was going on. Stryker's existence. It should have been a military secret. How could it have been turned into a manga? I've heard of that deranged obsession. You better be careful, Yuki, or you may end up that way too. What? What's wrong, Yamato-kun? I'm not sure. Sayaka just said some fucked up shit to me. You've gone so pale. Your hands are shaking too. I'm just... Guys, my leash. What does this mean? Let's just wait a minute. I need to think about this. While I was trying to sort things out in my mind, the image on the TV screen changed to a scene that seemed familiar.
It seemed familiar to me. Oh God. It's so... I died when I was seeing it.
While I was trying to sort things out in my mind, the image of the TV screen changed to a scene that seemed familiar to me. A large crowd of reporters was swarming around the porch of a house. Wait, I hadn't just been any house before. I knew it. That was my parents' house.
I'm here at the house of Pretty Yuki, aka Yuki Daisuke, the author of the manga in question.
What? Daisuke? No, it can't be. Before I could register this new revelation, the door opened, and my father appeared on the screen. Immediately, he was surrounded by a sea of microphones. He began to speak with a troubled expression.
Yeah, it's true, I drew the manga. But I had nothing to do with those terrorists. I'm just as shocked as the rest of you.
But despite my father's denials, the reporters refused to back down. They continued to press him. Is that your dad, Yuki? Yeah.
Introduced him, they will, as the author of Dengeki Stryker.
Wait a minute. I've got to call home.
I'll go on now to Yuki's off phone, eh?
Thanks. I dialed very slowly and loudly. I ran behind the counter and picked up the restaurant phone. My fingers trembled as I dialed the number. The other side picked up quickly.
Hello? I told you, we're not answering any more questions at this time.
Mom, it's me.
Oh, Yamato, it's you. Oh, I thought it was another one of those reporters. They've been hounding us mercilessly ever since that story broke on the news about your father and that crazy guy with doing the things that were in his books. Listen, the town's just swarming with television people. It's just an awful mess, let me tell you.
No, I know, Mom, I saw. That's why I called. Is it true Dad used to draw manga?
Oh, it is, of course it is. You don't remember? I mean, I suppose we didn't tell you, of course, but, I mean, because we didn't want you to know because, we were worried. Your mind is so easily rattled, You had that whole fixation on being that, kid with the cardboard on your arms and everything all the time, and I was worried about you. I was really worried about me. You have no idea how much I'm worried about you, Yuki. I mean, there was a long time I was very worried about you.
My heart gave a painful twist to my chest. Just one more question. Father really draw a manga called Dengeki Stryker? More to the point, there's really a manga out there called Dengeki Stryker?
What, of course there is. I mean, you used to love that manga when you were a boy.
God damn it. It can't be. I loved it?
That's what your father didn't want you to know. I mean, he was so worried about you too. I mean, he thought that maybe if you knew that he drew the manga that you loved so much and were imitating all the time, that maybe you might, slip into some sort of delusional life where you were thinking you were some sort of superhero.
What the My body grew weak. It was all I could do not to drop the receiver. There really was a manga called Dengeki Stryker, and I was a fan of it?
Of course you were, Yuki.
Anyways, He was always playing hero, talking about how he would fight for justice and defend the innocent. Ugh. I was assailed by another splitting headache. A cold sweat trickled down my brow. This new headache was far more violent than the one that had come before. The world around me began to blur again.
And then one day, I guess you just suddenly grew out of it or something. I don't know. You're tired, or maybe the medication started working. It was a very confusing time in our lives because, I mean, you wouldn't even look at it anymore. Have you hung up on me? Every time I try to talk to you, Yuki, you ignore me or you hang up on me. I mean, just your dear mother. I mean, I did nothing but raise you for 16 years. And this is how you repay me, is by just not even talking to me anymore.
Oh, what's wrong?
It cannot be. Not again. My leash. Stay with me, please.
Sorry, I can call an ambulance, love.
Ambulance. It won't do me any good, Jack. Please, just take me home.
I think you should take the ambulance. That sounds like a much better idea.
The very last of my willpower spent. My willflower was spent. I sank to the floor unconscious. Let's read these words individually so we can pronounce them properly. We go now to Yamato's hometown. On a hill not far from his childhood home, his father, Yuki Daisuke, stood beneath a large tree, smoking a cigarette. You shouldn't smoke, Dad.
Ugh. Yeah, finally shook off those nosy reporters. But I can't believe someone's wreaking havoc in the city dressed up as one of my characters. What am I gonna do? Huh?
He heard someone moving behind him and turned around suspiciously. When he saw who was there, his jaw dropped. The cigarette fell to the ground.
Wait a minute. It can't be.
A young man.
It can't be. Are you... Mirror?
I knew you would recognize me.
Of course I do. After all, Mirror is my own creation.
He picked up his cigarette and looked Mirror over from head to toe. Everything about him was just as Daisuke had imagined, including details that never made it into print.
I can't believe this. This isn't just a costume, is it?
I'm afraid you are correct.
I'm going to assume I'm not just hallucinating. Are you saying that somehow characters from my story have begun to appear in the real world?
If you accepted that, then I can cut to the chase.
Which is?
I would like you to rewrite part of your story.
I assume you're talking about your heart, right?
Of course. You know, I really should. Colonel Mir of the Balbora Empire, his body overtaxed by his bionic surgery, has at most maybe 3 months to live. Please. I mean, could you change that? That'd be great.
Daisuke was overwhelmed by the unreality of the situation. If it hadn't been for the business with the reporters, he really might have laughed it all up as a hallucination. But even if it was a hallucination, Daisuke's answer was still the same.
I refuse.
What? Why?
You're a villain of a simple superhero story. I wrote you to be the most powerful, most vile creature that ever lived. Why would I want someone like that to have a long life? No, I want you to die as quickly as possible.
Daisuke spat out the words dismissively. Mira's expression registered his despair.
Don't say that. I'm asking you, please. Rewrite the story.
Why? So you can act out the evil deeds from my comic in the real world?
No.
At any rate, I refuse unconditionally.
I beg you. You're the only one who can do it.
And that's why I refuse. I have to take responsibility for creating you.
Please, don't. Oh.
Mira's expression became pained. Tears welled up in his eyes. The next moment, he sprang forward, gripping Daisuke by the shoulders.
Ew.
He forced Daisuke up against a tree and wouldn't let go. He looked downward to hide his expression and shouted in a tearful voice,
Please, Rewrite the story, please. Father!
You?
He was begging now, like a child. For a moment, Daisuke's heart welled up with pity, but he forced himself to be cruel.
Well, it's true that I am the one that made you, but that doesn't mean I want to be called father by a demon like you.
Mirror looked up at him, the words choking in his throat. He glared at Daisuke with the eyes full of madness and raised one hand aloft. Daisuke knew his character well. Mirror's bare hands could slice through solid steel.
So, you're gonna kill me?
He brought his hand down in a flash. Daisuke closed his eyes tightly, but nothing happened. A moment later, he heard a creaking noise, as the tree behind him split in two, or maybe it was John's head because his fucking... Oh god, it's so loud. Okay. Eventually, the large tree collapsed, sending up a hail of fallen leaves. Daisuke's forehead was cold with sweat. A sigh of relief escaped his lips, which, in a moment, turned into a laugh.
I guess I can't kill me after all, because I'm the only one who can rewrite your story, right?
Mirror didn't respond. He turned his back on Daisuke and walked off, without looking back. Daisuke waited until Mirror was gone, and pulled out a cell phone from his pocket.
Hey there.
Hey, you there?
Hello? You there, dear? Let's head to the city. I'm worried about Yamato.
I'm worried too. That was a good chapter. That was a really good chapter. Yes, please, let's save. Sure? Why not?
Chapter 9. Defeat Zero in Crisis. Zero in Crisis.
I am back. I am. Bookstore had everything after volume 7.
I need the next volume. Give me that volume 3.
Just a minute, please. I'm getting in the good part. Well, Captain Murray, what do you think of the book I found? Well, I mean, it seems you're right. Our last plan went just as the book described.
Murray closed her book with a sigh. The title on the cover page was Dengeki Stryker.
I told you, these books can foretell the future. It is true that this story, Lieutenant Hiliko's imitation striker, was defeated by the real one.
In other words, the things portrayed in this comic book become reality.
But why would future events be drawn in some old manga now?
Well, the writer of the book most likely sees the future. He doesn't understand what he's seeing, so he just records it in comic form.
Hold on a minute. Does that mean that Officer Olsen is going to die in our next operation?
Well, of course not. Doesn't mean that, well, not necessarily. Well, see, if the comic, Olsen's showing up late to that last operation meant that I got terribly injured. So, that's why you had me on the rooftop, to offer up sniper support. Yes, of course, but, well, and because of that, I made it back in with barely a scratch.
So, as long as we have these books, we'll know just what Stryker will do before he does it.
Then, for example, if we do undertake this operation, Moo Cow, in which Orson is written to perish,
then he won't have to die at all, will he?
Orson moaned happily.
It really is a good thing you found these books, isn't it? Yes. Well, of course it is. But do save your applause. I have an even better idea. Why don't we use these books to improve on our plan and sit on the plan that is set to go already?
Improve it.
What? Well, for instance, in this Operation Heart-Pounding Pulse-Racing Runway Bus Disaster, Stryker gets gravely injured, am I right? But in the story, he manages to escape because there's only one of us there. Now, what would happen if 3 of us go instead?
Yeah, it's not a bad. If Stryker already half dead, he can't possibly evade 3 of us.
Well, we'll be able to bring him down without a question. Very well. Then let's commence this Operation Heart-Pounding Pulse-Racing Runaway Bus Disaster.
Improved version.
Then we will prepare the operation. I'll be preparing the champagne.
Tell Rin to get back here as quickly as possible. She still has a job to do, after all. The Bellborn cyborgs were in a joyous mood, feeling their victory was assured. Only Roches stood apart from the group, watching silently. So I think, I think I'm gonna head over to headquarters. Headquarters? Gonna fly there, aren't you?
Hey, I don't really see another option. I mean, we ain't heard any other directives, and we gotta give our status update.
Very well. A safe journey.
And in the meantime, we shall take our own glorious victory.
Yeah, sure. I can't wait to see it. Roaches left the apartment and looked up at the night sky. Well, sure hope I'm just being paranoid. With that, Roaches took the air alone, aiming for his motherland. The next day. Where am I? 'Tis a dwelling, my liege. Do you not remember fainting in coffee shop? Oh, yeah, that's right. The events of the previous night floated back into my mind, including an image of the Dengeki Stryker manga. I didn't know what I could have meant. It all felt like a nightmare. Yeah, that's right. God. I've got to investigate this. I stood up quickly and was hit by a wave of dizziness for my trouble. You must remain in bed, my liege. Thine fever has not yet broken. I do feel tired. I feel like my head's in a vice. I lay back on my futon. Jack covered me up with the blanket. It was then that I noticed the dark circles under his eyes. Were you watching over me all night? 'Tis but my sworn duty. To my liege. Thanks. I owe you again. 'Tis merely an unspoken promise between us. Suddenly, there was a knock at my door. Come in! Door is open.
Oh, I'm coming in.
The door opened and Haruna stepped inside.
Oh, good morning, Yamato-kun.
What are you doing here, Haruna?
Well, I came to check on you, of course, but I guess, I don't know, you really are sick, aren't you?
He is just as he appears. The fever has not yet gone down.
I guess he won't be coming to school then.
Well, I can go. A little fever can't keep me down.
No, you can't. You have to rest. Don't worry. I'll let the teacher know.
I tried to stand up again, but Haruna quickly stopped me. I'm of the same opinion. Rest up. You must, for the battles, many battles, and battles to come.
Battles?
He's just saying that because, I don't know, we play a lot of Magic the Gathering, and he's just real disappointed that I'm, not feeling up to playing.
Well, I mean, if you insist, but don't do anything dangerous, okay?
Haruna discreetly drew a lunchbox from her bag and laid it on the floor. Her thoughtfulness warmed me. Tears of gratitude formed in the corners of my eyes. Haruna Dono, you must not linger long, or you shall also be late for school.
Oh, right. Take care, then.
I guess. I'll stop by again on my way home. I hope he'll be okay. It was a little too far for Haruna to walk to school from there, so she headed for the bus stop. Every so often, she glanced back at Yamato's apartment. Didn't we walk there, run there, 2 days ago? Anyways, whatever. She was sure that he was hiding something. Something important. Something about a love, or perhaps being a secret cyborg. The way he always came back injured. He must be doing something dangerous. The fact that he has a bullet on a string makes me think that he's kind of a dick. That man's name was Stryker 0. She felt a sudden tightening in her chest as she remembered the news report. Could Yamato be the one? Could he be one of those thrill-seeking terrorists they were always talking about on TV? He couldn't be. Yamato-kun stands for what's right. As she was murmuring to herself, the bus stop came into view. The bus was already there, so Haruna ran to catch it. Wait! Let me on, please! Did it? Haruna made it on board the bus, and the bus drove away. Wow. Lucky. Where it had been, a small man could be seen lying on the ground. He sat up suddenly and began speaking into a transmitter. This is Duran. The modifications went just as planned. There's no one who will be stopping that bus now. Welcome to Speed 3. About an hour later, Jack and I stopped by Cafe Ichimonji because I was feeling up to going outside again.
Ah, Yuki-kun. Shouldn't you be at school or something?
My liege is on leave from school due to illness.
Then, shouldn't you be at home, resting?
I can't gather intelligence from my apartment because I don't have a TV. School may offer sick days, but the national defense never rests.
I don't really know what you're talking about, I don't. Sounds rough, though. Whoop, middle bus.
I turned my eyes to the TV, but it was hard to focus on it. Mother had told me that I used to love the manga called Dengeki Stryker, and I read it all the time. My memories of that period after I arrived in this body were hazy, but I didn't remember that at all. That in itself was puzzling. But on top of that, Haruna was always insisting that she had known me when I was little. Up until now, I had always assumed it was just some sort of misunderstanding. Could it be that it wasn't a misunderstanding? That I had forgotten something important about my past? Suddenly, Jack's words from the previous night floated in my mind. "'Tis but passing thought, that perhaps, if mine instructor once did, my liege may deal with memory collector, and became Stryker. No, that's ridiculous. Does something trouble you, my liege? No, it's forget it. That's right. I had to focus on reality. There's no such thing as a memory collector. After all, I had my Stryker units. I had an enemy to fight. My reality shouldn't even be in question.
And now, it's time for the local news. Our commuter bus has gone out of control and is currently speeding down an unfinished highway. We have very few details at this time, but for some reason the bus appears to be unable to stop itself.
My liege, could this be? Yes, it could.
The bus is currently speeding towards drop-off. If it is not stopped soon, it will fall off the edge.
Wow, that was a weird thing.
Oh no, not another disaster.
Yuki-kun,